And then there's also an outer climate in terms of atmosphere. We are all very busy thinking all the time, day long, doing things, thinking, moving around. So there's also an atmosphere created by that. And, we can look at that also in terms of a climate. But we don't have too much influence on the outer climate, on what's happening in the world around us. But what's the climate within our own self? Do we know what is happening? What's the weather condition inside? And I think in order to, there's someone at the door. In order to meet ourselves, in order to bring any improvement, any change, if we want to, we first have to be actually understand, we have to be aware that we actually have an inner world and that there is an outer world. May sound very simple. It kind of also is, but many times I find it becomes very blurry, right? There's not much discernment. We're not very clear what's really happening outside and what's going on inside. What's happening outside also started to happen inside. There's drama, problem, chaos outside, there's chaos inside, right? Something is happening with someone, it affects me, I feel sad or I feel excited or whatever, right? And as long as everything is happening the way I like it, the way it suits me, everything is going well, people are nice and friendly to me, we are happy, right? So it's not a big deal to know or be aware or attend the inner world. But what happens when all of a sudden things, life showing me scenes, bringing things and people and situation in front of me that I was not looking for so much. Situations that I did not necessarily consciously invite, circumstances and all of that, right? In my immediate life, but maybe also in the bigger world. So I think we are living in a time where it becomes more and more important to, first of all, be aware that I have a right to my inner world and a right to an inner life, an inner experience of life that is full of light, that is good, right? So the discernment, the understanding, the discernment of whatever is happening outside does not necessarily have to affect me or has to play out inside. And it's not the situations actually that situations as such or circumstances, someone says something to us in a rough way, maybe something happens that because of that is happening, that as a consequence, my inner world is changing. It's not like that. There's something that I am doing that brings the outer world inside. And so we are constantly with people, we are living with, we are facing the outer world constantly, right? But also my inner world, what I experience within my own mind is always with me. we don't have much control of what's happening outside, but we have a lot to say, and we have the power to create within the self. So this is the territory where we have a lot of rights. But this may be a different approach than we used to, because we typically want people to behave in a certain way. We want things to happen in a certain way. So the way I like it, we want it everything running smoothly and people be nice and respectful. And when there is less, if I have never spent time with myself, looking within, at connecting to myself at a more subtle level, at the level of thoughts, level of attitude, feelings, I may not even know what is happening inside of my own mind, only when, when there's a reaction, when there's strong feelings, when there are interactions, and then we behave in a certain way, we all of a sudden, or you find yourself talking, maybe not very friendly to someone, and then we feel not so good about that. So when expression happens, then many times we come to know that something is going on inside. But we would actually prefer to have an inner experience of peace, an inner experience of harmony, where we are then able to relate to the outer world in a way where we have choices instead of just reacting, emotionally reacting, right? Are we doing this from time to time? And there are many reasons why we can react, right? Because a lot of stuff is going on in the world. Many things are happening very fast. So what can we do that we don't have to become the victim of what is happening outside, or even to an extent a victim of my own reactions? And so I think in that context, it's very important that we start to give quality time throughout the day to the self. We learn about the self, and we start to consciously taking steps, small steps, little bit of attention, little bit of a practice, but maybe consistently, in order to, consciously create an environment within my own self so that I have a space to go where I can experience peace, where I can actually be with myself without having the need to run away, to distract myself and go somewhere, the mind going somewhere, but also physically. Something happens at work or at home or on the road. We get affected, we get a little bit stressed, we get upset, and then what do we do? What do we do when these things happen? We run away. We call someone. We want to go somewhere. We talk to people. We talk a little bit more. We call someone else. Maybe I go shopping. people do different things, but we distract ourselves. At the same time, neglecting the self and actually also a little bit disrespecting. And so the more we consciously take action to create a very friendly environment within myself, a very friendly relationship with myself, will help us a lot to move through life, through situations, in a more dignified way, maybe with less sadness, with less upsetness, maybe with more understanding and more patience. And I think everyone has a lot to offer that we can give to the world also. But in order to be part of the solution, in order to give to the world, I have to have something inside and I have to have it ready, right? And so there are few aspects I thought I would like to share this evening in terms of what are ways or methods, some understandings that we don't have to, or how not to take everything inside, and how to, what are the steps that we can take to create that relationship with the self and that upgrade in a way that inner environment and the relationship with myself. You see, if we can attend the self at the moment of stress, if I'm happy, I'm happy. It's no problem. It's fine. No, everything is good. But the moment the happiness goes and something else emerges, it's not so easy there's less tolerance, there's less acceptance, lack of understanding also, I find. And the more we can comfort the self in these moments, it will empower us, but also it gives us the wisdom and it gives us the strength of dealing with others when they are going through something. You see, it's human nature. We like to help, we want to help. But so many times, one is in the name of helping, we sometimes cause a little bit stress to others, or others feel overwhelmed, or, we know what others need many times, but we don't know so well what we need. The more I understand myself, the more, or to that extent, I will then also be able to understand others. And so however I treat myself, however I relate to myself, in the same way, same attitudes we are using to relate to the outer world. So it doesn't start outside, it actually needs to start within myself. And one is in the name of helping, telling others, advising others what they need. But the other thing is, his thought keeps flying away, but it will come back. Oh, yeah. So in terms, we see this in the healthcare profession a lot, right? Or even at home, if you're taking care of someone who is physically not well, for example, if you care for someone, very easily one gets exhausted. So we like to help, to care for others, but then we also have to have the wisdom, the power to sustain the self. And that, if that aspect is not in place, if I cannot sustain my own self, if I don't, how to say, fill myself, how to empower myself, um, how to stay connected with with the better part of myself while caring. So if I don't do that, then I get out of balance. We care for the other one, but then also I start to run into maybe some exhaustion. I come out of balance. Many things that are happening outside in our immediate world or in the bigger world are out of our control. We really don't have the power to change anyone, to control situations. So if I understand that and accept that, then I will stop fixing. And if I'm not busy changing others, thinking about the situations, it shouldn't be like that. Why did he say this? He shouldn't have done this. Why is she doing this? Why? And then in the larger scale, what's happening globally now? So many questions can come to mind. But as a matter of fact, it's not so much that we can do in terms of stopping it or turning it around. But if I have a healthy relationship with myself and I understand that, any form of darkness is actually a crying out for help, any form of negativity is a crying out for help, then, and I'm able to relate to myself in a healthy manner instead of getting, or feeding the anger, feeding the upsetness, being critical. Instead of entertaining these tendencies, I learn to accept different aspects of the self. I learn to have respect for myself. I learn to not judge myself in the wrong way. In other words, not to criticize, but you use your strength in order to overcome certain shortcomings, certain weaknesses, right? Different forms of upsetness or so, they will always show up. But first of all, can I be okay with that? And secondly, have that intention to, if I don't judge it, if I don't label it, if I don't dislike it, I start to observe it, then I'm able to move more and more into a peaceful state. So even their anger or the upsetness is there, but I'm learning to observe it. I don't put myself down because it's happening. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you lose your value or your worth. There's a difference between the being and what we feel and who we are. And so turning inward, then we are connecting to the self at the much more subtle level than the physical identity. And I think that is where the empowerment happens, where we learn to connect to our higher potential, which is connected to our spiritual identity. Level of consciousness is not visible, but as a matter of fact, we think the whole day, we feel, we have attitudes, so they are real, right? So how can we now move from a place of confusion, disturbance, upsetness, more and more into a peaceful state, into a state where there is calmness, where there is stability, where I do not become, like I mentioned earlier on, the victim of my own reactions. Reactions are very impulsive. They happen immediately. It's like I have no control. But the more I start to understand that these reactions, they happen because they get activated, they get triggered, right? So the outside is activating, for example, what is already inside. And so from that place, we then react. And if we understand that there's a trigger activating something that is already within me, then I can take charge of what I feel, what is emerging within, instead of blaming or pointing the finger towards, you or the situation or even God.
Anyone have a question? Sister Inez? How do we do this? You talk about observing and accepting. Why don't we do that more often? What happens? What gets in the way? Because I love emceeing because we talk about method and we talk about how to. You want to say something? Hold on, Rosa.
Sister, I am very sensitive. How we can control that? We love the person or the people around us, and the way you said something that is not on their hand or they like to do, they love it and is not good for us, or we cannot take it. We don't become angry or screaming. What we have to do.
So the question is, if someone speaks in a rough way, or was that, and how not to react? Or you're getting tired? Yeah.
Like when you get too tired of something, you, or if someone is mean to you, you want to be kind, nice to them,
Right.
but the way you act, the way is your life is different than other people's life,
Right.
and we can manage the relation. Even like children come, you clean right now, and they come and they drop and they leave. Or you can be always kind and calm.
Something that I practice quite a bit and has to do with the understanding, we are all unique. We are all different. And here we are learning, for example, like I indicated, it's the journey inward, and we start to take responsibility for our own thoughts and feelings, right? Instead of making someone or something responsible for that. And understanding, accepting that everyone is different. I give permission to everyone to be however they want to be, whatever they want to do, because it's not up to me. It's not up to us to decide of how someone has to be. At the same time, we have to discern the behavior, the actions. I have to understand what is good for me and what is not good for me, what's healthy for me, what's not healthy for me. And only take in my heart, take inside what is useful to me. So if someone is upset, if someone says mean things, doesn't behave very nicely, can I be okay with that? Right? can I be okay in terms of, can I accept what's happening right now without me having to change it? Because I can't. Otherwise, we start to fix the other one, right? We try to control and do all of these things. And then the understanding that whatever someone is saying, right? However someone is feeling, even in relation to me, is their story, is what they experience, is how they are thinking, is what they are doing, has actually nothing to do with me, right? Now, for example, if you praise me, has nothing to do with me in a way. It's your experience with me at this time or in this moment. If someone is unhappy with me, it's their perception, it's their what they experience. Now, if I'm strong enough, I will check myself. Maybe there is something I could have done better, differently, right? So that next time maybe this person doesn't get upset. But I am not responsible for how someone is feeling. And at the same time, we have to learn not to take things personal. It's their story, is what they are going through, right? And I must not take things personal. And I have to stay, that's where the inner strength then is coming into play. I have to stay in my own self-respect. And I have to understand that that's boundaries, right? Is what someone is doing, and this is what I stand for. And when we don't take things personal, then we are able to, you are able to be connected with your own inner self, with your own inner goodness, with a self-awareness that is positive, while I'm interacting with others. If we lose ourselves in others, then we absorb their moods, we take things personal, because there is nothing within me that can withstand. There's no presence of my own self unless I'm aware of my inner world, of my inner goodness. You know, that subtle connection to who I am, what I stand for, to my values.
I'd like to offer a personal example of what is being talked about. We talk a lot, so many of you are new or haven't been here in a while. We talk about detaching in a very healthy way. Like watch the scene, sit in the front row and watch someone get angry at you. That's a tough one. Someone gets angry at me and they wrongly accuse me of something. Let's make it even more juicy, right? I've learned here, and I do it. It doesn't happen every day, but I learn here to detach because my ego, can I use that term? My ego wants to defend myself. My ego has many lovely qualities, but my ego is my enemy sometimes. So my ego wants me to get into a fight and defend. And who are you to speak to me that way? We talk a lot about that. And that detachment and knowing that that person's having a bad day, that person is really, you remind her of her father. I don't know, but they're coming from, as Sister Inez said, they're coming from their own story, right? So you don't have to dance because someone asks you to dance, right? You have free choice. And I think that's what you mean by creating that healthy climate within yourself, where you have to, I have a very sacred place inside of me that I never had before I came here, before I learned from sisters. And Sister Inez was one of my most wonderful teachers. To be able to love myself enough to put up a protective wall And I don't have to let people in, especially when they're being negative. Good? Yeah.
It's not so much about other people, what they're doing, how they're behaving. Yes, we have to have some recognition, but it's much more about what is it that I'm holding within my own self? What's my, if I am not connected with, if I don't have a strong sense of self that's based on an inner truth, right? Then I will always take in something. If I don't feel strong within myself, then I will need something. If I need love, if I need validation, if I need respect, I start to expect from the outside, from others to give it to me. We think, okay, if someone doesn't respect me, something wrong with them. They should respect me, right? But actually, the fact that I expect that respect puts me into a dependency. And so similarly, not to be afraid when others are upset. And people go through different things. Maybe they had just a very bad day, something really bad happened. They're just really upset. Maybe, I don't know. There are many different reasons why upsetness gets triggered, right? So there is always one or another reason why things happening the way they happen, why people behave their behavior, but it's actually irrelevant for me. And so if I hold myself in my own self-respect without expecting anything from the outside, I'm able to stay in my loving presence. I'm able to remain, like we practice here, Om Shanti. I am a peaceful being, right? And that presence then becomes a subtle support for the other one to feel a little bit better, maybe. But at least it's not amplifying any of their emotions, their upsetness, or they may feel a little bit comforted if they feel sad. We can be kind, we can be compassionate, we can have mercy based on understanding, right? That whatever is happening with them. So you have to have someone who is under some influence, you have mercy for. And at a deeper level, and this is something that we are learning here, is especially when we connect to the self beyond the physical, we have this physical identity. We are very much aware about that, right? But then the spiritual identity, the subtle self, the higher potential, the true self, where actually all the goodness is, right? And the more I stay present there, and I'm able to hold myself there, even though someone is upset, why do I have to move away or from my seat of self-respect? Why do I have to change my loving form, my peaceful form, just because someone is upset or they behave in a certain way? So if I can see my own light and stay connected with my own light, because we also make mistakes at times, right? How do I come back? I forgive. I remember my higher potential. So if I can give that to myself, I'm definitively softening my inner environment. And eventually we will be able to be able to connect to a deeper truth within the other being, even though they don't express it. And if you have the deep faith that, deep at the core of our beings, we are all beings of goodness. If we really have that faith, then it's not visible many times, but that's why faith is important. If I can hold on to that in my own thought and connect to their inner, subtle, bigger potential than what is expressed, then I'm able to maintain my loving presence, for example, and be merciful, be forgiving, be accepting. And there's no need for me to take things personal. Does that make sense?
Any questions, anyone? Anybody? How do we build that self-esteem?
Another thing to soften our own inner environment, right? Like things are happening, situations are happening, people are doing things, but yes, you recognize, you understand, but that doesn't mean that I have to keep thinking about it. Someone says something nasty or upsetting towards me, then this person turns around and goes away. And I keep reminding myself about that scene, I don't know how many times. So it's replaying in my own mind. This is a very, we all have that tendency, but this is what will disturb me. It happened, it's finished. Can I let go? What is it that is of more value to me? My own inner peace or what that person said to me? Of course, I don't like it because it was not friendly. So what? If I give time to build, to give that respect to myself, right? Then we don't need it from the outside. It's a deep concept, but the whole idea of more and more contributing, what is it? What little thing can I do to be part of the solution? I don't have to have the answer for everything. I don't have to have the solution for everything. It's impossible, but I can be part of the solution. I can always have a pure thought of hope, of love. I can give blessings. I can send out good vibrations, have pure thoughts, have faith in someone's potential. You understand? That's what I mean with staying connected to the light. But it will be challenged, how to say, like dualities within our own selves. We ourselves make many mistakes, step away from the light, right? And give in to the darkness. So if I can stay connected to my own inner light, to my goodness, instead of giving in to the anger. If I can slow down a little bit within my own self and start to pause is a very nice practice. You're in a meeting with someone, there's a situation, pause, stop for a few moments, calm down internally, and then you choose, do you want to respond? Do I have to respond? And if I choose to respond, how I'm going to respond? The practice of cultivating some inner silence where I consciously start to make choices instead of just reacting. It's not so difficult. It's easy. We just have to practice it. And it will take a little time to get into the habit of, let me remember, let me have just few moments of quietness inside before I open the mouth. So then there is a space between me and the situation, between me and the other person. The moment I'm aware of my own self, it sounds, I don't know, it may sound a little bit funny, but it's a crucial factor. The moment I'm aware of my own self as a being of goodness is a big game changer. We now, then we have the power to choose. But if I'm not aware of that inner goodness, we just function on autopilot. And the autopilot is at this point in time the default condition for, I would say, probably most of us, if not every one of us, in many situations where we react. It's become a habit, right?
So the word spirituality keeps coming up in my head. How would you bring in this concept that most of us come here for inner peace, inner power, and we're here because we're basically open to spiritual solutions? Anybody want to comment about that? Yeah? We need method, right?
Oh, thank you, Shan. Sister Ines, passionate sister, loving Louise. We are very fortunate that we have this spiritual university.
Brother, you have a question or?
No, there are no goodbyes, just till we meet again. Avitasen. So, in a spiritual university, what I'm most grateful is for your embodiment, because it is really, and I felt it when I came here, and it's a commentary. When part of the puzzle is missing in your divine energy, brings bliss and peace, we need to expand that.
Right.
If we come from the outside, you bring the suit
Right.
of society.
Right.
And come here and we get into the sublime serenity.
Right.
Thank you for being here.
So that's a good reminder, actually. Is there any other question? Otherwise, we can close with the meditation.
We're going to do the meditative commentary now,
Yeah.
based on what we did.
Yeah.
Okay, and a very new audience, maybe they don't know about. You need information about how? You went to Peace Village, right? Okay, you were here last week. Okay.
So when we meditate, we don't have a particular posture. Sit comfortably, right? And let us just become aware. So we're preparing to turn within. Let us just become aware, first of all, about the outer environment, the physical space we are sitting in. This is just little awareness practice to become present, become focused. So the outer environment, just take note of an object, one or another sense perception, the light, or an object that you see, music that you hear. And then we bring the focus and the attention, our awareness on our physical body. Take note of the posture of the body and just scan the body briefly. If there are any tensions somewhere, we can give permission to relax, let go. And let us give a blessing to this body. It's been serving us for so long. We're using it moment by moment. And many times we just use it. We don't hear too much. And then we become a little bit more subtle, connect to your breath. Consciously inhale, take a deep, long inhale, and then we exhale. See if you can hold the focus, the attention, the awareness for a few more moments just on your breathing. Just breathe in and breathe out. And then we become more subtle. We go deeper within. And I want to connect to my inner point of stillness. Maybe gently bring your awareness up to the forehead. And maybe just behind the forehead you can visualize a tiny sparkling star, beautiful point of light. This is the point of stillness. Peace, calm. I look at this point. I look more closely at this beautiful light. It's like I become that light. I, the being, I am peaceful being. I have stepped into my inner dimension, my inner world of goodness, of light, peace, love, joy, power. At the core of my being, these are the qualities that are always there. And I attach that I, the self, to those beautiful qualities. I am this beautiful light filled with all these amazing qualities. I am with myself, silently, but content, or peaceful. I've stepped away or beyond all the mundane thoughts of the day, what I did or what I am. I started to focus on the deeper truth within of who I truly am. This recharges me, empowers me. I remember once again that I am the light. I'm the light of peace, light of love. Even though I don't experience myself as such all the time, those qualities are always there. I am there. When I make mistakes, I forgive, I let go. I return my original truth. At other times, I have compassion for the self, acceptance of what is. I choose to have these pure thoughts for myself from time to time, instead of always thinking about someone or something or what I do. And one more time, connect deeply this point of stillness. And I just relax into I am, into my own, the awareness of my own existence. I exist. I am myself. I'm good enough for myself. There's that sacred space within that is only for me. The more I nurture that, the more it will become alive and the source of power, source of strength. Whenever I choose, I can withdraw into that inner space of calmness, of peace, away from even my own thoughts, ordinary, mundane thoughts, upsetness, stress. I can temporarily step out, step into that inner space that is pure, clean, peaceful. Then I gradually come back, being aware of the body. But also when I now move shortly, I can maintain the awareness, the inner self, the inner being. And learn to live my life from that inner place. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you. This was a beautiful, beautiful hour. So your homework, if you choose to accept it, is to go home and practice the pause, practice not reacting, and give yourself a second to respond with kindness. You used the word mercy. I like that. Yeah. Any final comment by anyone? Okay. Keep the peace. Quickly. Yeah. I just have one short announcement. Let me just do that. It's March 28th, Saturday, from 10:30 to noon. We have the art of relaxing. And Brother Eric will be leading it. I believe in the bookstore, Brother Eric. Is that correct? Okay. And it's the side entrance. And from 10:30 to noon. Don't miss. Is that what you wanted to say?
Maintain the connection. Avoid the correction.
So thank you, everyone, and
Thank you.
have a good evening.
And if you'd like to leave your email, if you're new, we will keep you posted. We just used to tell you what's going on here. If you'd like to come back next week, we have another brother who's going to speak on the same topic. Relax. I'm blanking.